Surfing is one of those sports you probably think are for others, that different breed of person willing to risk pain or worse for a chance at nirvana. That's what David Litt thought too. The former presidential speechwriter and author of Thanks Obama is out with a new book detailing his desperate attempt to learn how to surf. And what he learned could also help heal some political divides.
I feel like the thing about surfing is just getting to the wave is already
look, they look
the hardest thing. Yeah.
Just 3 years after learning to surf himself, the student has become the teacher.
Ready?
Yeah.
At 35, David Litt was old for a first-time surfer, comparable, he says, to learning the guitar on your deathbed.
Ditch is good.
After a few attempts, it's not hard to see why.
You're dealing with these very fundamental human emotions, right? These like lizard brain emotions. Can I do this? Can I push myself to do it? Am I going to let my fear take control of me, or am I going to embrace the terrifying feeling and go for it?
For Litt, it was out of character, to say the least.
Describe your general disposition before surfing.
Well, I've always described myself as like high functioning and high anxiety. In general, I'm the kind of person who can catastrophize a little bit. I'm prone to fear.
Talk about scary. At 24 and fresh out of Yale, Litt landed a job as a junior speechwriter for President Barack Obama.
I had what in Washington, D.C. qualifies as a comedy background, which means that I interned for The Onion one summer. And so that's enough in D.C. And so starting in around 2012, I was like the token funny guy in the White House.
His portfolio included writing for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, like this bit with Keegan-Michael Key as the famously composed president's anger translator.
Traditions like the White House Correspondents' Dinner are important.
I mean, really? What is this dinner? And why am I required to come to it?
Life after the White House wasn't as funny, and by 2020, Litt hit a low point.
How desperate were you before you jumped on a board?
It was after the peak of the pandemic when it kind of became clear that this was not a moment, it was an era. And I became depressed for the first time in my life. You know, I'd always had worries, anxieties, whatever you want to call it, but I'd never really been depressed before. And I do think one of the reasons I started surfing was it was a moment when I was probably the least happy with being me I've ever been in my life. And surfing was the thing that was the least like me I could imagine doing.
So this was your first surf shop?
This was the first surf shop I ever walked into.
It started at Glide Surf Shop near his house in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
The first surf lesson I ever took was with someone who works here at Glide. But ultimately, the person who taught me the most about surfing was my brother-in-law, Matt, who, in addition to, I mean, we're different in every conceivable way, but he's like a huge Joe Rogan guy, right? I used to write speeches for Obama. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. Definitely when the vaccine debate kind of exploded during COVID, I think that was a moment when the differences between us felt really meaningful.
We really didn't communicate too much. I don't know if that's the word. We didn't talk too much. It was kind of at family parties.
Besides his wife, Jackie, Litt had next to nothing in common with his brother-in-law, Matt Kapler.
Even when I worked in the White House, you never asked me about political stuff. I remember being a little bit surprised because at the time everyone was like, oh, have you met Obama? And you never brought that up.
Yeah, well, I was never into politics.
Litt's a New York City kid. Kapler grew up on the Jersey Shore.
What was it that was so different about the two of you?
Can we get a close-up on our legs? Because I feel like I'm just looking at, like, I think this explains a lot. Right?
An electrician by trade, Kapler spends his winters surfing the rough waters of this stretch of the Atlantic. 3 years ago, Litt started tagging along.
Did you question why he was surfing?
Oh, no, why would anyone not surf? That's more of a question.
He began writing about his quest to conquer the waves, hoping to publish his journey of self-discovery.
The book originally was just about me surfing, and then I remember the stuff that was exciting and funny and interesting to people, and including me, was the stuff about us surfing together. Like the book proposal had a thing about the first time we went surfing, and you took me out in that hurricane swell, and I almost died.
The book's title, It's Only Drowning, recalls the sarcastic reassurance Litt got from Kapler during a particularly rough surf. The story takes them to wave pools in Texas and Hawaii's illustrious North Shore, all along hanging 10 and navigating their differing perspectives.
What's the lesson of your experience together?
I guess just not being so judgmental towards each other.
Yeah, I think Matt's being nice. I think he's saying people like me should be less judgmental toward people like him.
Essentially, yes.
And you were okay with him writing this book about you?
Yes.
Because
Why?
you are the central character, I think.
Well, for me, I got a bunch of free surf trips out of it, so it's like, there's no question in my mind.
But even with all that bonding, they're still not quite on the same wavelength.
You have periodically, half-jokingly, suggested that I should get a tattoo. And since we're on camera, I want to put you on the spot and ask, what tattoo do you have in mind?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you'd find something that you liked.
Well, what would you want to put on him?
Maybe like a Yale University symbol right there.
That would be the most embarrassing tattoo in the history.
Hardcore Yale student.
Maybe embarrassing, but also right on brand.
Like the first month I was surfing, came back every day from a lesson or a surf session, and my wife would be like, "So, did you have fun?" I'd be like, "Of course I didn't have fun. Are you kidding me? I'm like sore in muscles I didn't even know I had." But then something switches, and you start to get that feeling, and then you start to chase that feeling, and it's almost like a different universe when you're on a wave. And the moment you leave that universe, you're like, okay, how do I get back? And that feeling, people can do a lot of weird things chasing that feeling.
It is a feeling to
Yeah.
be chased. I mean, and not just the surfing of it, but that communication that happens between these two. I tell you, it was really inspiring.
Yeah, I love the connection between them.
Yeah,
Great story,
it was
Michelle.
real.
And you had a little time on the board there, too.
Yeah,
It
just
wasn't
a
bad.
little bit.